everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. Liam Hartley here today with another episode of the Simply Inspired podcast. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Claire Bannwarth. Hopefully, I'm saying that the right way. I've been practicing that. Today's guest is a legendary ultra runner, has competed in many of the greatest trail runs around the world, holds records, has some incredible wins. There's too many to mention. This lady has done it all. It really is an honor and a privilege to have her on the show today, not only to talk about long distance running, ultra running, but also to talk about the mindset that it takes to reach the highest level in one of the toughest sports in the world, I would say. So, Claire, thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's also a pleasure for me to be there.
Absolutely. And I love your accents, by the way, Claire. It's wonderful to listen to. Um, so we will make a start. Now, rather than going back to the beginning of your life and everything, I'm going to actually start with the last couple of years because you have been extremely busy this year and last year in 2022 and this year in 2023. I believe last year there were over 20 races, and this year you have some amazing achievements. So, starting at the beginning, in recent times, can you share with us a few of your highlights, your personal favorite races of what's been happening in the past couple of years? Because I would like to talk about all of them, but we'll be here until next week. So I think the best thing to do to condense it down a little bit is to find out which ones mean the most to you personally, please.
Yeah, actually, I have been running for since I'm very little, but I started doing races and competition just 6 years ago, and I will say my first race that is really was a key point for me. What was my first 100 miler? It was the first time I spent the night outside in the mountain and did such a big distance, and it didn't go well at all. But I could finish, and that's where I realized that I loved this kind of challenge and this kind of long races. Um, and then I spent some 1 or 2 years doing 100 milers, and then I did my first 200 milers, and it was the Swiss Peaks in Switzerland. And that's when I realized, okay, 100 miles, it's an adventure, but 200 miles, it's so much better. It's so much harder, and it's also so much, so much fun, that 100 miles. And yeah, Swiss Peaks, was my first 200 miles, sorry, and it's really where I realized I really wanted to do that kind of crazy races, very long, very difficult. Basically, the race you start and you don't know if you will be able to finish or not. And then I started to do more, to look what other races there were in Europe. And I did also Tour des Géants, and then Transgran Canaria 360. So basically, I kept the distance, but then I did races where you didn't you had to navigate with GPX, or races where you had just a few live bays, but you were basically alone for 80 kilometers. And I realized, okay, I love this kind of challenge. So yeah, I will say Tour des Géants, Swiss Peaks, the 360, and this year the Spine Race, which is also a very long race, but in December, in winter, so in January, in UK, with rain, cold, and snow. That's basically the races that impact me the most, because it was the races I thought I wouldn't be able to finish, and I finished, and also I was very fast on this course. found these races, and I had also a lot of fun. So basically, yes, it was kind of the big milestones, and also this year the Tao 200, which I won overall, sorry, but also a big race for me, a big adventure, and also a big milestone for me, because I won overall, and also I could run for the start to the finish. I could run, which is very enjoyable when you are doing 200 miles.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Because as I said, there are so many, so to be able to condense it down a little bit is a wonderful thing. Now, another thing about your profession as a runner that I think is very interesting is you get to run through some beautiful locations, the mountains, the forests, so many different things. And I would like to find out a little bit about some of your favorite places that you've been able to visit as a runner that maybe if you weren't running, you never would have gone there, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Or I would have been in these places, but I would have stayed on the beach with a mojito in my hand. Yeah, no. I have seen fabulous places. I mean, I live near Switzerland, and basically, Switzerland is just the dreamland, the mountain land, the postcard kind of land. So if you want to go someplace and see beautiful mountains, go to Switzerland. It's really great. I also discovered the Canary Island. I've been here with a friend, and we spent 15 days just running nonstop for 15 days on this beautiful island. So Gran Canaria, La Palma, Tenerife, just beautiful place to hike. And I had the chance this summer to be able to go to the United States, to go to Colorado, and it's also a place that is just amazing, very remote, very wild, very just amazing. You can go there and just be in the middle of nowhere in the mountain, and really feel the quiet and the nature. So I would definitely recommend these places. But actually, you can find beautiful places just close to your home. You just have to look, actually.
Absolutely. I like that because, yes, many places have something to offer, but people don't always notice. But it's wonderful to hear your stories from that, or something that is intangible benefit of your profession. And on the subject of this as well, at the beginning just now, you were saying about the 200-mile races and the spine race, and you said some of these you weren't sure even if you would finish them. So I'm curious to touch on a couple of things with this. The toughest races that you've had out of your career so far, in terms of the ones where you've had to dig deep, as they say, to push through, maybe with more difficult terrain, maybe with something going on in your life outside of the race, and you had to focus through to win that or to do well. It's not to dwell on anything that went wrong, but it's more to give people the idea of what you do when things don't go to plan, or when things are on a more difficult side?
Just let me think. Uh, I mean, in terms of difficulty, it was really the spine race, so the worst race, because it was freezing cold, pouring rain. I had sometimes I feared for my life, because it was maybe minus 10 degrees, and I was starting to freeze and not feeling my hand and something like that. But I mean, I was well. I wasn't injured. I had food. I had no particular physical problem. So it was a race that was difficult because of the external condition, but didn't I didn't need to push deep. But this summer, I tried something completely new for me. I tried to do fastest known time, and just try to hike the Colorado Trail as fast as possible. And basically, I just took a 10-kilo backpack with everything I needed. So water, clothes, food, and something to a mattress to sleep on it. And I just went completely alone in the remoteness of the Colorado. And that was really where I had to push really, really deep to do that. Because I couldn't sleep. It was too cold to sleep. So I had planned to sleep for 4 hours per night and to be really rested, but I couldn't do that because it was really too cold. So I ended up, just hiking for 9 days, sleeping maybe 13 hours, and I was really like a zombie at the end. I really had to push very deep to finish that. And also it was also, for me, it was the first time. I mean, I did very long races. I did a 500-kilometer races. It took me 5 days, but I was never, I did never, I was, 5 days was my limit. And then I had to push for 9 days, and it was really, really, really long. And I mean, when you cross the halfway point, you say, okay, no, I have to do that again. So yeah, it was really where I needed to push very deep and to find really motivation and mental strength to finish. Also, I was completely alone, and I had no reception, no phone. I couldn't talk to friends or to my husband. So it was really, really difficult to be alone for 9 days. So basically I did very difficult races with very hard condition, technical terrain, whatever you like. But being alone for 9 days, that is really the most difficult thing you can do in your life. Being alone for more than a week, for example. I know some people are hiking for 50 days and doing Pacific Crest, very, very long, very, very long hike. But most of the time they are supported. That is to say, they have friends, they have people, they see people from time to time. But doing it very alone, it's really difficult.
Absolutely. It's incredible the strength that you have to have, not just in your body, but in your mind and your soul as well, you know. Very, very powerful, amazing, absolutely amazing. And on the subject of that, on the subject of your preparation for a race. Now, obviously other runners will know about this, but perhaps people who don't go as far as you know, even people who are running regular marathons and things, they might not know about this. Can you share with us a little bit about your training regime, how many miles you're doing, say, in a week, or you know, these type of things? Anything you'd like to share about your training schedule, please?
Yeah, I have a kind of unusual. Most of people are really doing, you know, uh, interval training, quality session, this kind of thing. I am more focusing on volume because I really think what you need is to have time on your feet, to be comfortable with the long races, to be comfortable, to be awake and to run for long. So I'm really focusing on volume. So basically I run more than 200 kilometers per week, and I also do some biking, some strength training. But basically, yeah, I think I do twice as much hours than the usual people, usual trail runner do. but it's also because I really focus on very, very long races where you normally don't go over 15 kilometers per hour. So that's why I really train. I mean, I run lots of kilometers, but at very slow pace. When I train, I never, maybe I can sometimes go to 12 kilometers per hour, but no more. I mean, and most of the time I'm just jogging, very cool, very slow pace. But when you do that, you train your whole body, and also you train your body to not get hurt when you do such a long race. And then by doing some biking, some other stuff, I am more focusing on my cardio and on my speed. But most of the time when I run, I am just jogging, and that's it. I mean, that's all you need when you want to do that kind of races. Quality training is good, but the most important thing is to be able to go out for long hour and not be tired, and also still be motivated. So if you can do 200 kilometer per week, and doing it every week for months, then you are ready for doing a 200 miles race, because you will not be tired physically and also mentally. So yeah, but I know most of the other runners don't do that, are more focusing on the speed and doing less hour and less mileage. But I am not a marathon runner. I'm a 200 miles runner. So not the same training, not the same sport.
Absolutely, yeah. It makes a lot of sense because, when I've spoken to people, many great names in ultra running on here, even with what you say, UTMB and all of these big races, people do seem to adapt the training a little bit to their own bodies and their own circumstances, and it's very interesting to hear about how you've done that personally, because it's not following the rigid rules, but it's following what works for you, and it makes a lot of sense. As well as this, with the mental side of things as well, you mentioned there about not being tired physically or mentally, but I'm curious, when you're getting close to a big race, do you have any mental techniques, like people say about visualizing, people say about certain things that they do to give them the strength? I'm curious to sort of see what's happening in your mind, if that's okay, on the build up to a big race.
I don't have any any visualization technique. I just try not to be stressed, actually, and just to tell myself I will have fun, and that's what matters, and then the result will come. If you have fun, you will go fast, you will enjoy yourself and give the best of what you can. But if you are really stressed, just pushing it, that's where things go wrong. So I'm just telling myself, okay, you do your race. If you are feeling good, you go fast. If you are not feeling good, you go slow, and it's fine. What is important at the end is to have fun, to finish, not get hurt, and have a good time in the mountain.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it's a valuable life lesson there, Claire, as well, about enjoying the process, enjoying the journey. And it's really something that comes across from yourself to me, is not just focusing on the result, but focusing on the process, enjoying the moments. I think that's very valuable for people, not just with running, but with life in general, to be honest. Um, it's fascinating that when I speak to people, sometimes the people who won the most things focus on the result the least, if that makes sense, and they focus on enjoying and just getting better. So it's really something that comes over with that. Now, another thing that I think people will find interesting with this is obviously the self-sufficient aspect of things, because going back to what you said earlier about 9 days alone, you're not having anyone to lean on. In terms of the navigation and finding your way through these places a long way from anywhere. How do you prepare for that aspect in terms of the orienteering, the finding your way around, basically, if that makes sense?
I mean, most of the races are marked,
Mm.
so it's quite easy. But I also always have the GP Express on my watch, and I'm used to navigate with it, and it's kind of easy. I mean, it's not like maybe 20 years ago when you just have some um, boussole, some compass, and you had to navigate with a map and a compass. No, it's really easy with modern technology. But I have I do some races where you need to have the map, where you need to have a compass, and it's very rare. But sometimes I have to see on the map where I am and to orientate myself with the compass. But it's very very rare. Most of the time, it's very well marked, or you have a GPS track. And sometimes navigation can be tricky, but you see, basically you have a map, you see where you have to go, and you find a way to go there. And also it's something that you learn. The first race I did, where I needed to navigate with my watch and a map, I was really bad. I got lost most of the time. And the more you practice, the better you get at it. And also the more you hike and you go out in the nature, the more you find places. The more you can read the terrain and see where you have to go. So it's something you can learn, and it's also something that is really easy today with modern and also the adequate equipment. You have to buy a big, not a big, but you investing in a watch that is really good is not a waste of money. Where you when you are doing races where you are in complete self navigation.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I know you're quite humble about it, but I think it's an amazing skill, to be honest. So, it's worthy of mentioning. Now, as we move into the latter phase, shortly we will talk about the future plans and everything. But before we do, there's a couple of other questions I wanted to ask you. I would like to take this opportunity to get your advice for runners who are basically starting the journey, particularly if they have the aspirations to become like you in time. I'm doing it their own way, but still to get those type of results and everything. And I know it's quite a big question, so maybe we narrow it down to a handful of things. But just what you would like to say to those people who are out there chasing their dream, basically.
Yeah, I just will say that don't focus on performance, just focus on fun, being outside, moving. I mean, if you walk, it's fine. If you can't run, but you are doing a 5 kilometer or a 10 kilometer walk, it's fine. It's always better than just sitting in the coach and doing nothing. So just don't focus on performance. Just go out, do what you can, do your best, and do it every day, or as much as you can, and you will be better and better. And just be patient, and also just be consistent. I mean, the the most important thing is to move, and you can do it by plenty of ways. And if you can't run, just walk or ride a bike or just be outside, just take the stairs, do something for you, and also do something for you every day. Really just be consistent and have fun.
Absolutely. Great advice. Absolutely wonderful. And the beautiful thing about this is people can hear that from you, even if they never meet you, hopefully they will. But if they don't get the chance, they can still learn and they can still grow. So shortly now we'll move into the future. I also wanted to ask one other thing with regards to how running has changed your life outside of running specifically. So a few times lately, when I've had really long distance people on, I've asked them this question of how it's affected their life, with their family or with their work or with other things they're doing. And people have shared things, they become more patient, they become more calm, more resilient, these type of things. But it's not directly related to running, but connected to running and life. It's all part of life. But you know what I mean, in the areas outside of sport. How has being a runner changed you as a person, changed your life outside of the sport itself?
I mean, it gave me confidence. I was very shy when I started working. I was very lacking confidence, and now that I run and do amazing things and I've been in amazing places, also leave some dangerous situation and survive some dangerous situation, I'm really more calm and confident. And also I also know that work is good. You need work, to get money for living, also to meet people, to be part of the society. But also, I know that if everything goes wrong in my work career, I mean, it's not the most important thing in my life. If I am healthy, that is the most important thing in my life. And if I can do what I want to do, that is to say, to run, or to be in the nature, or to do really what makes me happy, that is the most important thing in my life. So it gave me confidence at work, also gave me some distance, because when I started working, I was really, I would say I am still committed, but I was really, really finding that the most important thing in my life was work and to be successful in my work. And now, with more experience and with all the races I have done, I know that work is important in my life, something necessary, but I know also that I will not die for it, So it gave me more confidence and also more distance, and also more coolness. Let's say I try to do my best at work, but I will not die for it, basically. And also, I know that the most important thing is to be healthy. And if my work or anything else make threaten my health, I will just say, okay, I will give up, and that's it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually, Claire, giving you the perspective on the important things, it makes a lot of sense. Again, valuable life lesson for people listening, and thank you because that's the reason why I do these, to share these lessons that great people such as yourself have learned along the way. Now, obviously we've spent a bit of time looking back, but when we're looking forward now as well, you've achieved so much in a fairly short time. You pack a lot in. I've seen with races back to back and everything, but you obviously still have the hunger to achieve more. So, can you share with us a little bit about your future plans? And with this, I don't mind how far in the future you want to go or how close to now. It's up to you, but just to get a feeling for what is inspiring you from this point forward.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of idea. Doing this very long FKT, this 900-kilometer FKT, gives me the will to do more, to do something more crazy than that. But it will be in the future when I will be able to take 1 or 2 months of work. But I have something in mind. If I can someday take 2 months off, I can do some crazy 3,000-kilometer hike, something like that. I also I am doing trail running. I am also a road runner, sorry, and I am also doing 24-hour races. And I am in the French team actually, and I want to improve my record, which is 232 kilometers, and I really want to do 240 kilometers. That is to say, running 10 kilometers per hour for 24 hours, which sounds crazy when I think that. And also, I want to do the Barclay Marathon. It's a crazy race invented by a crazy guy in Tennessee, and it's a race that that has very few winners, just 14 people, I think, or no, 17 people, but it's all male runner, and no women has finished this race. And I really want to not be the first, because it doesn't depend on me, but I really want to finish this race to prove that women can also do crazy things. And it's really important because in trail running and also in ultra distance running, there is few women, and that's a shame, because it's really where we could be. I am really convinced that you are stronger than men, both physically and mentally, when you go over multi-days races. So yeah, I have a lot of plans, doing crazy races, doing crazy FKT, finishing the Barclay Marathon, doing also some breaking my personal record at 24-hour races, breaking my personal record at backyard races, and all I want to, and I want to do that to prove that women can just be crazy and can do crazy things.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I definitely think that already you are having a great impact on women in sport, in terms of inspiring them and showing them what can be done. But the future holds some wonderful things. I say good luck with those things as well. Barkley Marathon, yeah, that is a crazy one. I had a guy on this show who was in that race, Harvey Lewis, but he didn't finish it, but he was in the race, and man, finding books along the way and the trails. It's a wild one. So good luck, and I believe you'll do well. Now we'll wrap this up in just a moment, because we've talked about some good topics. But before we do, Claire, we focused very much on yourself personally. But is there anyone else you would like to thank who has helped you along the way, in any way, whether it's your family or your friends or people you train with, but it can be something else, sponsors or even people on social media who are sending you saying, hey, good luck, you'll do well with this, and trying to encourage you. What I'm trying to say, it comes in different forms. But just anyone you'd like to say thank you to who has contributed to your journey.
Yeah, the first I want to thank is my husband, because he really gave me the confidence I needed to start trail running, because at the beginning I never was in the mountain for a long time. I mean, until I was 27, I was never in the mountain. I never hiked in my life, and he gave me the confidence to try and to see that I loved it. And also he supported me, because when you do 200 kilometers per week and some biking, you spend a lot of time not being at home, and finding someone that understands that you need to move, to need to be outside and not spend that much time with him. It's difficult to find someone that understands that and want to sacrifice a bit of the time we could have spent together, just to give me the possibility to be better in my sport. So I really want to thank him. And also want to thank the community of trail runner, because people that are doing crazy races or crazy adventure like me, we are a few in the world. We are maybe hundreds, 200, and that's it. And most of the time you find these crazy people on the same races. You become friends, and we support each other. We don't judge. We are really supported. We encourage each other. We support really each other. And that's really a good community, no judging, just admiration. I can just find the word in French, but very support. And it's good to find. It's really it helps to find people like you, because people that are doing this kind of races, it's not hard to find, but most of the people don't understand why you do that, and finding people that do the same and for the same reason as you, it's good to know that you are not alone, that you are not an extraterrestre, or you are not you are normal actually, because there are other people doing that. It's good to have a community like that, and to have support, and not just be. I know it's not my case, but my family is very supportive and understand what I do. But I know that a lot of runners have friends, family that don't understand why they are running so much and doing this kind of crazy and dangerous thing. And it's good to have some people that supports you and understands you. So I want to thank also the ultra runner community.
Absolutely. Wonderful to give a mention to those people, because in many ways, this is behind the scenes, it's something that people don't see just from watching the race, or, reading about your results or whatever. Claire, I would like to thank you very much for your time, and I would like to thank you very much for being so open about your life. And when I do these interviews, especially with people who have achieved as much as you, I know we're only scratching the surface with the things you've achieved, but at the same time, I'm happy because it's got a nice mix of the fun stories from your races, but the deeper topics as well, with the mindset and how to achieve things. And I believe people will benefit from listening to that. So I'd like to thank you very much for doing this, really, and just to say it's been a real pleasure, and I've enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
I have. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.